Welcome to LFG with JJ, the podcast that helps you level up your CX game by navigating CX and AI technologies. I'm Juan the CEO of Zinctree, the AI-powered customer experience platform providing solutions that turn every human into an expert. 700 plus companies across 54 countries trust our solutions to boost their contact center proficiency, enable their customers to self-help, improve their internal processes, and more with Zinctree. So we'll talk a little bit about your background. It's always fun to, learn about, I know you were in the media industry and then you got into marketing and where you are now in healthcare. So always good to hear about your background. And then we'll get into the CX, the customer experience industry, the space, and then, what's happening in the industry, the state of the union. And then from there, we'll get into your actual current role, your job, how do you, continue moving forward and staying relevant and progressing and learning and all that good stuff. And then we'll wrap up with, some, final questions and that should be kind of like the plan for the day. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's really exciting. Really happy to be here. So, as Juan said, my name is Nadira Kharmai. I am the CX manager at Priority Health. And I actually just celebrated my 5-year work anniversary. And to get to this place, I actually have an interesting career path, and it began with really a love and passion for storytelling. So I have a degree in communications with an emphasis in broadcast journalism. So I pursued creating news pieces, print, digital, TV for some years. I was an entrepreneur creating
You
web
founded a business.
video.
Did you found a business?
Yeah, I
saw that
did.
you-
I did. Empress Productions. So nice, not an homage to our motherland. It was
Yeah.
really fun to create. Social media was fairly new in 2010, and people really didn't understand, like, how do I promote my business or tell my story or
Yeah. And was it
amplify the
something that, came
messages.
to you, Nadira, even, obviously you went to school for this college, but did you have this passion even before? And,
Oh
before you
yeah.
got to college, you always, yeah.
I was. I'm like a storyteller at heart. So
So what kind of
I'm one
jobs
of
did you have? Did you do any kind of interesting jobs in high school or college? Like where you, before you got into doing your own production and building your own business?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. So there was a local community media center called GRTV, and I would take classes there. My brother actually worked there for some time, and this was back in the day. Some of the people listening to this probably can't really imagine this, but it was back in the day where we would use tape, and I learned how to shoot on film, edit the tape. I know I'm aging myself. I'm old. Um, but it was awesome. Like, I was in junior high school, like 8th grade,
Yeah.
doing sports, newscasts to
Yeah.
play at my school. I just always loved not only storytelling, but like curating and creating this experience of, like, you are here with me. You're
Yeah.
learning about these players, or
Yeah.
you're at this event with me.
What was your
So
favorite sport to interview or to, create content for?
that was hard. I loved when I was in junior high and high school, basketball. That was really fun and energetic. Girls volleyball. But then I had some really cool opportunities to intern at NBC affiliate stations. One of them down in Tampa, Florida,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like one of the only interns ever to go and interview players like, Evan Longoria in the Tampa Bay Rays locker room. Like,
Yeah.
you that's unheard of, like, at that,
Time.
collegiate level, to be like, "Sure, I'll have the intern go in and, interview the players." It was really neat, really cool hands-on experience. So, did some internships there, but there was always a layer upon storytelling that was about the experience, like I said, and I think that was sort of a light bulb moment that took me to this role in customer experience. So it's interesting how, like, that was always red threaded throughout my career and my interests. And finally, I'm here. So it's awesome.
So straight from like being in the media world, you came into Priority Health. And, yes, I can see how, the storytelling piece and the media piece, it was nicely, gave you a nice segue into getting into customer experience marketing. Tell us a little bit about healthcare, like how, what is your, getting into the healthcare background that you've had now over the last close to 6 years, how did that happen?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm going to back up just a little bit before I get to how I came at Priority Health. I did have some experiences that really shaped me prior to getting here in the corporate setting. So, like I mentioned, Juan, I was an entrepreneur for a couple of years, and that was really great. And there I grew my business development chops, right?
Yeah.
Being able to network, make connections,
You
understand
got to
how
you got to
to
build a
run a
business.
business,
Yeah.
yep, how to be profitable, right? And market myself. And
Yeah.
so I was really learning a lot. And that took me to one of my first corporate jobs.
Yeah.
Um, was actually in property casualty insurance. And I learned so much working at a sub segment of the Farmers Insurance Group organizations called Foremost. And
Uh,
that was tremendous for me to just really learn about, you know, P&L and managing a budget and advertising and all of those things that involve marketing, communications, and being able to sell, whether it's to direct consumers or through the work that I was doing was independent agents. So I talk about all of these things because I really do believe that it was a culmination to get me to where I am today. So joined Priority Health 5 years ago. Love the healthcare industry. It's such wonderful work because I love people. I love being able to help people who are like, hey, how do I pay for this? How do I pay for this care? Well, that's the benefit of insurance, right? With
yeah.
these insurance plans, and some of them are $0 premium plans, you don't have to worry about, the cost of care. Like you don't want to have to worry about burning through, your pocketbook when you have some serious life threatening um, things to manage, and that's relative to your health journey. So yeah, I love people. I love helping people. And I like that. I'm honored to have a job that lets me do that every day.
That's awesome. I mean, you love helping people and you love helping people tell their story. So, it's a great combo. You've had an amazing career. Congrats. You've progressed throughout your career. Was there a time, when you were getting your career going, whether it's in, to be in high school, college, and of course you continue to evolve and continue to grow, or was there a time where you felt like, it was a hard job that you had, or a moment in life where you felt like, hey, you know what? I'm going down this right path and I'm going to make it, or I'm making it. I'm going to make it someday. That gave you that confidence that, you're set for success.
Yeah, let me think about that one. That was really good. Um, I would say
Was there like an aha moment, like, hey, you know what? I'm going to make this. I'm going to make it happen. I just need to stay the course. Uh, you know, was
I
there?
I think I think yeah, thanks for that clarification. I think it's really when I came to Priority Health
Yeah.
and I was able to really just start making those deeper connections with people at
Yeah.
work, like straight from the start,
Yeah.
and having that positive energy and my ability to own my own work, that went a long way. And I always had brought that curiosity and that learning mindset, but I think it was, partially the environment, like Priority Health. It's part of the reason I've been here for
Yeah.
5 years. Great
You're
people
old
to
timer.
work
Most people
with.
leave jobs after 2 years. You've been there for, 6 years now.
Yeah, no, it's I would say that was the point. I mean, there were definitely other jobs where it was really challenging. As you noted in the question, where it's like, I'm grappling with like, do I stay? Do I go? But I would say to anyone listening, like all of the experiences that you have, whether it's current or past, it helps shape you.
Shape
And
who
there
you are.
there were definitely jobs that I had in the past where I'm like, this isn't it for me, but I can learn something from it. Like even though, I'm having bad days or I don't really like the line of work, that catapulted me to understand what do I want,
Yeah.
what line of work do I want to work in, and it, helped lead me to Priority Health.
Yeah. That's great. Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing your background. I think this is a good segue for us to get into the industry. We're all in the customer experience industry, whether I'll tell this to everyone, like, hey, we're in the B2B world, but really it's, when you dive in deeper, it's a B2C, right? Whether
Yeah.
we're working with you, but you're servicing your, members, your customers, right? So there's a lot of, at the end of the day, it's people, it's human that you're dealing with day in and day out. So there's a lot going on in the CX, industry. And on top of that, I think healthcare is very unique. We hear that all the
It
time.
is.
You see that. So I'd love to just get, you've been in this industry for 6 years, you're enjoying it, and you've done well. So just hearing from you directly, what is the state of the union of the healthcare CX industry?
Yeah.
What's working well? What challenges are out there? And where do you see this industry going?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, there's lots and lots of innovation that's happening
Mhm.
in healthcare,
Yes.
particularly with digital programs and telehealth, and that's really neat to see. There's a lot of new players coming into the market with their unique product offerings or ways to serve members or patients virtually, and the technology is amazing, like, to be able to get care without leaving your couch, that's
That
awesome.
accelerate during COVID, is that what enabled it?
Oh, yeah, I do. I think that,
Yeah, you guys
COVID.
had to deal with a lot with COVID happening in the healthcare space and with, hospitals and, challenges that you had. And then with, people trying to get care without coming to the hospital during, COVID times.
Totally. It had a monumental impact on how we provide care, how we receive care, right? And another interesting thing too is innovations specifically within, like, the pharmaceutical space, right? So, prescription drugs are very expensive.
Mhm.
People need them to manage their chronic condition, feel better, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, how do you make that cost efficient, affordable for people? So I'm seeing lots of changes in those two areas. And then the third one is personalized recommendations. So, healthcare is really trying to personalize these next steps to that individual consumer. And I would say that, healthcare is catching up to other industries like retail and entertainment. um, Another thing too, I just thought of this is I've seen a lot of leveraging applied behavioral science to programs and engaging with consumers so that they can make healthier decisions for themselves. Like, you're not shaming them, you're not incentivizing them. There are lots of other ways to leverage human centered design and applied behavioral science to make sure that that experience resonates and is meaningful to the consumer. So, really big changes in healthcare in the last couple of years.
Those are some big things here. Talked about telehealth, prescriptions, cost, there's a lot going on in your space. It's exciting.
It is. It is. That's another reason why I love this industry. It's like you get to help people and there's a lot of
Personal
creativity and
recommendations, you
innovation.
mentioned that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, that's amazing. There's a lot going on. It's exciting. So, moving to your, current role, and you've had different roles I see at Priority Health. I think most of them have been in marketing, but I'd love to just learn about, your current role, and then how is technology, we all live in a technology world now. How has technology played an impact in your role? What are some of the current tech stacks, tech tools and products that you use? And hopefully Zinc has supported you. Would love to just learn a little bit more about your, day-to-day work that you're doing.
Yeah, so, where do I begin? I could talk about Priority Health and marketing and CX all day. It's
Yeah.
fun, and with you. I like catching up with you on this stuff. So from a tech stack perspective, we have, I'm gonna mess up on this name, I think. Alchemer, that's what it is. So we have Alchemer. That's one of our tools that we use for um, creating surveys and just gleaning more voice of the customer. We use Stratified to understand a little bit more deeper sentiments for calls. Obviously, we use Tableau dashboard to understand, how are
Amazing.
things performing and resonating. So from the technology aspect, and there's tons of other systems and softwares that we use to create what my work baby is a recommendations platform.
Mhm.
So that's been going really well. But, to zoom out and really explain, like, what do I do at Priority Health? We are responsible for the member experience. And that's not central to just outbound messaging. And it's not just central to our customer care center. It's everything. It's all the way from plan selection to renewal. So we're measured by customer effort score, CES. And we do CES surveys, and we understand how we are performing based on the line of business. And we're measured by that. Like, how is the experience for our members, whether it's, interacting with some of our digital products or having a member understand their benefits. So it's a big job that spans, again, across all market segments. And we have
Yeah.
a lot of key partners, but I love being able to just zoom in on a pain point and say, okay, how do we build this team and journey map this out to
Yeah.
understand what is current state? What do we know about the problem to create a good future state? And let's make it happen.
I always thought it was kind of cool that, you all always call patients members. And I'm just thinking out loud here. Like it's actually pretty cool because, like, a patient, yes, a patient's coming in, they need help, they need service, but sometimes it can give a negative tone. But a member is, hey, you know what? I'm a member of this organization. I'm here to make my health better. And whether it's, I'm in a negative state or not, I'm a member, I'm connected to this community, and I'm working with this community to make sure I have a healthy lifestyle. So I thought at least that's the view I get. Is there
I
something
love that.
behind how
I
you
love
guys
that
came up with the member
observation.
name? How did you guys come up with the member name? Was there something there, like, or because
You know,
obviously people know member. I don't know if people know it clearly. Member is a patient, but that's what you're referring to, right? When you say member.
yeah. So I love that you're able to glean that positivity. Whoever came up with that term on how we want to call our consumers definitely gets a lot of kudos in my book. So Priority Health is, a health plan that's over 30 years old, and we are owned by Corewell Health, who has patients, right? And so perhaps it was a differentiator, but we love to think of our consumers as those members, right? We want them to feel empowered and educated and
Do they have
have
like
all
a
the right.
membership like type to you guys, like a monthly, annual membership, or is it just, once they're in your system, they're a member? Is there?
Yeah, so we have different plans, right, to
You
to
do.
pay for your insurance, whether you're on Medicaid or Medicare, and you do get a cool member ID card, right? When you go to pay for healthcare services, you show that, and
Yeah.
you have a copay, right? Or you have perhaps a high deductible, depending on what plan you have. And we want our members to feel like they know how to use their plan, they can get the care that they need, and they're not tied up in really the how, right? It's
Yeah.
just when you're feeling sick or when you need surgery or tests or anything, you want to be focused on that.
Yeah.
And that's where the experience comes in. We don't want to be hindering you,
Yeah.
as the insurance company. And I think insurance has like a bad rap sometimes, a stigma that, the insurers, they don't want to cover this. We do care. And there's a lot of people at Priority Health who are trying to make a positive experience for our members so
Yeah.
that they can get the care that they need, that's affordable, that's going to help them, heal them, and get them on the right track so they can get back to doing the things that they love.
Yeah. I mean, that could be life changing, right? I mean, getting
Oh,
them
totally.
100%. I the I the member journey is, critical, because, you're dealing with people's health. What has been times in your line of work where you've had a moment where you had amazing success, that you still think about, that gets you excited, or on the other side, some challenges that you had to deal with, maybe more recently during COVID time? I would love to, hear about that.
Some challenges. Well, I would say,
Or success stories that
yeah,
gets you fired up.
it's easier to talk about successes. So I'm going to actually lean into the hard part of challenges.
Yeah.
Early COVID communications were really, really gnarly, right? Like, and you brought that up, like, was COVID um, a catalyst to innovation? And absolutely, certainly it was, not just to healthcare, but globally, right?
Yeah.
Everyone started doing business differently, right? We're being able to meet digitally. Um, but messaging to our members was just it was intense, right? Our COVID tests covered. If you get sick with COVID, what does that look like in terms of getting care? Are you going to have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars at the hospital? Like, what is, your health plan or your insurance for? Like, what does it cover? Navigating through that, knowing that there's a government aspect to it, right? There's a compliance aspect was really challenging. I
Regulated.
mean, things
Yeah.
would change daily. They
Yeah.
would change daily. But it was good for us from a culture standpoint to know that we have people here who care, who are strong, who are going to be able to like weather the storm, and being able to be a people leader. You articulate the changes and you enact change management in a way that people are like, okay, you know what? I'm confident that we're headed in the right direction. Like, I agree with these decisions. Let's go communicate this message to this member and make sure that the experience for getting and receiving test kits is seamless, right? So you don't have to be hung up and worried about how am I going to get a test kit. It's just a couple clicks and, boom, it's there. Or, even doing personalized nudges, like it wasn't just one shot, right? You had
Yeah.
to have follow-up shots. Don't worry about remembering. We got it for you. We will let you know this is $0. And here's your friendly reminder to get your booster, for example. So
No, that's great. I'm there's a job that has challenges is it's always in my view at least, is an exciting job. You're getting up and gearing up to go battle and go through challenges, and you're doing it for a good cause to help patients and members.
yeah, I mean, I think that if it were too easy, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be enjoyable,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's good to have those challenges. And I know you know all about that, being
Yeah.
leading such a fabulous company like Zingtree. Like, the challenges make it worth it for
Yeah.
sure.
And then the people, like you said, the people you associate and you work with, makes it all worth it to go through that journey.
Yeah.
Um, who do you work with closely on your team, within your organization? You've been there for 6 years now. You're probably, someone who, people look at, hey, she's been there for a long time. Like, so how do you work with, new people that come in? How have you worked with people who have been there for a long time? How is your connection with the folks that you work with closely at Priority Health?
Yeah, so it's funny that you are asking this question, because I actually just met with a newer team member, the new manager of member communications. She just came on board this Monday.
Yeah.
And I am a very team oriented person. I was like, let's meet either in person, or you
Yeah.
can grab time on my calendar, 1, 2, 3, 4 times a week. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm here to help cultivate that success and get
Yeah.
you acclimated into this new role. I'm just very much so a people person. So I love um, making those connections, networking, and helping others learn. Because, boy, there's a lot to learn in healthcare. Though I've been here for 5 years, I'm learning every single day. Like, there's new products, there's new government compliance and restrictions. And, just the other day, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, MDHHS, was sharing some news about the public health emergency, right? And so it's like, there's just so much to learn, and I'm honored that I'm able to help others who are just getting started or transitioning from, a clinical role to a business role, see, okay, here's the landscape,
Yeah.
here's who to talk to about things. And by the way, like, I'll be your biggest cheerleader and help you make sure that you're, talking to the right people and working on the right stuff.
So are you guys all pretty much back in the office, or is it still, hybrid?
Yeah, it's mostly remote. There are, like, every Tuesday, our team will get together. And I'm a big proponent of doing like in person only if it's meaningful, right? The
Yeah.
worst thing that could happen is going into the office
Yeah.
and just being on, Teams calls, Zoom calls all day.
Yeah.
So I try to get the team into the office for sessions where we can, roll out the big whiteboard, have
Yeah.
some sticky notes, jot stuff on the map, or just have like team building and talk about like,
Yeah.
how are we building our team? What are some of the processes? And standard operating procedures we need to get in place, right? So we're better, we're stronger, we're gelling. It comes second nature to us instead of, you know, be confused on like what's the next step in this process.
Yeah, that's great. Zingtree question, you found Zingtree a couple of years ago, working with your concierge team. You've been a huge supporter of Zingtree. Thank you for that. What advice would you give Zingtree Nation? There's a lot happening in tech, especially now with everything that you see out there with OpenAI, ChatGPT, and all these, latest and greatest tech, innovation that's happening. What advice do you have to give, Zingtree Nation so we can continue progressing and
Oh
growing?
man, Juan, you know how much I love Zingtree. Like I could not believe it. And you guys have grown and matured so much over the years. It's really awesome to see you guys' journey. But when I found Zingtree, just on a quick Google search, whoever was in charge of SEO back then was doing a great job. When I stumbled upon it, I was like, this is a gold mine. Like this is going to help us like lose the Word documents, lose any weird sticky notes for prompts. Like this is a really cool tool that can just be embedded into whatever system CRM you are using, and it's going to help your consumer service reps. It's going to help your agents, right? Um, the mental capacity that we all have is limited as much as we want to believe that we're superhuman. And, I think I'm speaking for all of the working moms and stay at home moms. Like, we are super women, but we have a limited capacity. And
Yeah.
you don't want to put your agent or your CSR customer service rep in a bind and have them be stuck on something when, man, you could have just had a Zingtree script or, narration guide right there ready to help them through really tough stuff. Sometimes it's hard to think on your feet and be quick-witted with certain languages um, or topics, right? And if
Especially
you
when your members
have
are
that,
maybe going through some tough times, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
sometimes things are so sensitive, and so you're like, "I don't know how to navigate this conversation." Well, that's why you have Zingtree, right? It really does help our reps, our concierge team understand, "Okay, this is how I can navigate this discussion," or in my case, offer this next best recommendation for you,
Yeah.
without sounding so clunky or too salesy. It builds that authenticity, and it
Yeah.
also builds the rapport. It allows the rep to build a relationship with the member. So I love it. I'm a
I know you
fangirl
love it,
through and
but how do
through.
we get better? Any advice for the
Oh, how do you guys get better? That's a tough one.
maybe in relations relative to healthcare space? Obviously, we are fortunate to have healthcare customers like yourself, but as you see where health
Yeah,
is going, where there's some angle for Zingtree to keep evolving and helping the healthcare industry more.
I think I've only played around with the chat capability,
Yeah.
the self-service, right? The
Yeah.
self-service tree. I think an enhancement there could
Sure.
really be beneficial.
That's great feedback.
Juan, we've had conversations about what we're
Yes.
trying to do with, our technology, and I think that having, an AI-enabled chatbot would be really something special.
So that is part of our roadmap for this year. So good call, good validation, and we're on that path right now.
Love
So
it.
great. That's great. So this is awesome. It's great to hear about, your background, the CX industry, and then your day-to-day work. It's great hearing about all, this information. Thanks for sharing this, Nadira. I'd love to, get this thing wrapped up with a little personal side. So, I know you're busy. I know you've got a son. You're working hard. You're, working hard at home, working hard at work. What is your like, quiet time? What do you do when you're not, do you have any hobbies? I play a lot of pickleball now. Hopefully, we'll get you to play pickleball someday. But what do you do as a hobby?
I know, I keep hearing about, like, how awesome of a sport pickleball is, and haven't played it, but, man, we'll have to bring you back to Grand Rapids, and I'm sure there's pickleball courts here, or better yet, I gotta find out a way for Priority Health to send me out to California and take a peek at
Either
what you
that
guys
in
do and
California or, summertime in Grand Rapids. Let's get some pickleball going.
let's do it, man. Let's do it.
What do
Um,
you do? What to take time off? Like, what do you
Yeah,
open
I love
travel?
I love spending time with family and honestly being outdoors. So, Michigan has a bad rap, rightfully so, for terrible winters. But the summer, the fall, even the spring, it's just really beautiful going out on hikes, going to the lake shore. We call it going up north, right? We go either to the up north, Upper Peninsula. It's just really beautiful. So if you like nature like me, it's
Yeah.
really relaxing. I also love summer and fall because I get to ride my motorcycle, which is
Wow,
very
you have a
freeing and
motorcycle.
relaxing.
What
Yes,
kind of
I do.
motorcycle? Yeah, it's like a real
I have a motorcycle older than me. It's a 1981 Yamaha SR250, and
wow.
it's one of the things that I love. I don't have a lot of material things that I love, but that would be one of them.
Really? So you go on these long rides, and you're going really fast. Like, what's the story here?
Yeah, I used to pre-children, I used to go on longer rides. I love going on, you know, the road less traveled, and I ride solo by myself. I just like to go on back roads throughout the country, and I don't have, I'm not listening to music. I'm not distracted. It's just, my helmet, my bike, and I'm just with my thoughts,
That's
enjoying the
amazing.
scenery, and yeah,
That's
it's good.
awesome. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. As we wrap up, this is an important question, right? You've had an amazing career. You've got a unique background, and you've had success at Priority Health. What advice would you give someone who's just getting started, in their career now? What kind of advice would you give a younger Nadira to make it happen?
Ooh, that is a good one. So it's important to hustle, right? Like put in the work, be curious and humble, right? Like those are good things, younger Nadira. The work ethic, check plus, right? It's the immigrant hustle. But I would say the advice really comes into play where it's really take time to
Yep.
rest, relax, and reflect. It's not sustainable to go 100 miles per hour 24/7.
Yep.
I would tell my younger self, you're gonna be fine, kid. Like it's great that you're putting in the hours and stretching yourself and growing, but don't be afraid to pause and reflect. Like that's
Yep.
gonna help to build those core competencies, build those relationships. Like reflection is key. And we live in a world where everything is like a sense of urgency.
Yep.
And this is something I'm still working on myself. I'm not just my younger self, but just to pause, reflect on it. You don't have to answer right away. Really just, listen and meditate on what you just heard or learned.
I can do that well as I can take that piece of advice, and I need to implement that as well. But that's
We
great.
all could.
Yeah, the hustle, and at the same time hustle and find the balance to reflect, pause and reflect. That's great. That's great advice. Nadira, thank you so much for spending time with me today. Excited to have you on the podcast. Nadira Kharmai, CX leader from Priority Health. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you so much, Juan. Take care.
Take care. Have a good weekend. Thank you, Nadira.
You too. Bye bye.